Welcome, seekers and visionaries, to Oracle Mountain Chats. Here on this sacred virtual peak, we gather a space for oracles to share their wisdom, their visions, and their craft. It all began with a calling I could not ignore. One day, within a vision, I held this conch shell in my hands, and as I blew its resonant note into the world, I felt its vibration ripple across unseen realms. It was a summons, a signal to fellow oracles scattered near and far. From this vision, OracleFest was born, a celebration of connection, insight, and the timeless wisdom that flows through us all. The message was clear. It is time. Time to meet upon this sacred mountain. Through OracleFest, we've created a movement of community, all yearning to empower their own inner oracle. And here in Oracle Mountain Chats, we bring that spirit into a more intimate space. Here we gather as oracles to share the visions Spirit whispers to us, to speak of the energy currents flowing through nature and humanity, and to help guide those who seek answers in a world that often feels lost. So grab a seat, breathe in the mountain air, and join us as we begin today's chat. Whether it's an energy reading, a conversation about our craft, our path, or simply sharing a perspective on the world below, this is where we wait for more oracles to join us on the mountain. What wisdom will the mountain bring us today? Let's find out together. Step into this sacred space where the wisdom of the ages converges with the questions of the present. Okay, well, here we find ourselves back again on Oracle Mountain after a brief break post OracleFest. So that is very exciting. And since then, we have been creating new things and allowing the OracleFest vision to grow into what it's asking to be. And so we find ourselves meeting back again on Oracle Mountain, this time with Kirstie Lauren, who is a light language channel and a it's funny, I was going to say multidisciplinary, multidimensional speaker. You're probably multidisciplinary as well, though. So many things I think that we're going to end up talking about today. So I'm excited to activate this space. It's 18:18 on my clock, where we are right now. So that is auspicious for me as well. And so welcome to Kirstie. Welcome to the mountain.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here, and I feel like we've got lots of fun chats on the way.
Yes, and you found out about us through Debbie Solaris and through Debbie Dashinger as well, right? So you are familiar with them, and so I know our OracleFest lovers. They like to know, who knows people and who's connected to different people. So yeah, very exciting. Nice to be bringing in more of these like light energies and star energies. It was something that was really important to me for the OracleFest vision, that we have lots of different earth-based things and out and in that we have lots of different spaces that we spend time in. So I'm so curious what your first introduction to light language was, if you have a specific recall of that.
Yeah, so well, my first introduction to light language was there was a being at the end of my bed, this beautiful, loving being that was sending me light language and light codes. And I was kind of in between sleep and awake. This was a few years ago. It was definitely like a catalyst into me diving into things. Um, and I just remember just feeling, hearing, and seeing these frequencies. And the light language that I saw was like, they almost looked like, from what I remember at the time, they looked like gold hieroglyphics, like coming at me, like swirling and wrapping around me. And I hadn't seen the being yet. I just saw all these codes, and I just felt like this just overwhelming feeling, not overwhelming, but just this loving feeling of unconditional love that I had never felt in my life. And then when the light code stopped and the light language stopped, there was this beautiful being that again I had never seen, but it was just so loving. And then I kind of, I guess I realized I was awake, I was asleep, I was like that in between. And then I still felt that feeling of love all day. So it was something that I was like, did I make that up? What was that? And then it was a couple days later, I was at a crystal and gem show that I went around to all these crystals, and then there was this one, um, it was a table that had no crystals on it. There was a deck of cards. It was an oracle deck, and it was called Beyond Lemuria, the oracle deck, and it was the same exact being on the front of the oracle deck that my mouth dropped. And that was when I just really started taking a dive into it. And then that's when a lot like activated for me. So that was it. It was like right in there.
I love that. Wow. And I love these like moments that you see one thing after the next, and it just sort of becomes this like straight line almost, which often on our spiritual journey things feel very wavy, it feels like, and they kind of pop in, or maybe it's popcorn and just sort of sporadically happens here and there. So when there's like a moment of, oh, that all came together, I think that feels especially powerful. Now,
Hmm.
I'm sure there's people who have had these like, dream states that also bring them to some, I would say maybe a spiritual access point, some sort of like different, maybe it's an area or like this light language and different codes coming in because you come in this like, they say the veil is very thin in certain hours of the night. And I wonder, there's often, I think, a lot of people who will maybe brush it off or get kind of like, ooh, I don't know about that, or I'm not sure if I want to deal with that kind of right now. And I'm curious whether you've had any of those types of reactions within any aspect of your spiritual journey, or maybe why that doesn't happen for you, if you know that.
Yeah, well, I realized like for most of my life actually that I could feel um a lot around me. I could feel stuff happening, but I couldn't necessarily see it. And this had been happening my whole life. And I had very much like pushed that away. There were some coincidences, things that happened, which then I realized, I think that, there was a house that I lived in that I always just felt a little uncomfortable in, not knowing that, you could clear energy or sage or do all that stuff. And then it was the second to last time that I was there, like I was in university, second to last time that I went back to visit my mom. And I just felt the energy had shifted. And then it was the last time that I was there, it was still this really loving energy. And then so I said something to my mom and I was like, after all these years, I'd never said anything to her. There was just something felt a little off, like at night. I don't know what it was. And she was like, it's funny you should mention it because I had a shaman come in and do like a saging just before that time that you said everything felt like changed. So then I realized that that was the clairsentience that I was tapping into my whole life. That was a very strong sense for me. And I had been pushing it away. But there were little moments that I do recall of remembering after that I stopped pushing it away because I just wasn't ready at the time. But that being that came to visit me was really like the catalyst. And it really dove me into learning about energy work. I started doing my Reiki training and did a bunch of training after that. Um, I did after I was looking up, I was Googling like hieroglyphic gold codes. What was this? And then I obviously got the deck Beyond Lemuria after that. But the two people that I found that were talking about light language and light codes, I ended up, watching and listening to them. And then the full circle of that, I ended up working with both of them in the end. And then it was like we knew each other like we realized that we recognized each other from previous lifetimes or future lifetimes. So, and that's the same with Debbie too. So, I was at the Starseed conference. We were speaking at the Starseed conference together with Debbie Solaris and Debbie Dashinger. And it was all just kind of like this family reunion when we met up the night before. And it was just, and that's kind of along the awakening journey. I've realized I've been really reunited with my star family. Um, there's a lot of times where people go through that perhaps they lose different friendships or they change and then there's like kind of a growing apart with some people, and that definitely happened to me, and I know it happens with a lot of people. But the more that I've been going forward and meeting new people, it's like again reuniting with family. So I think that's really really like one of my favorite things. So the more work that I'm doing, like I just did the Sedona retreat, and you're just meeting with family. And so it's like we're reuniting with family every time we do events and things. So
It
yeah.
really resonates with me as a thought I often have about the spiritual community at the larger kind of scale is it's like, well, what really does bring us all to these places? And it's all community and feeling that like sense of belonging. And something that I've noticed in getting to know all these Oracle Fest speakers as well is like, yeah, there is like these shared woundings of also belongingness that allow us to like search elsewhere for that. And so, what a gift to feel uncomfortable or to feel like you don't belong.
Exactly.
What a
And
blessing.
and then also like if something's going on, like I'm not gonna sugarcoat the fact that, all areas at one point in my life was like and at the time I was like, what's happening? But looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was I'm so grateful for that because it completely just changed my world for the better. So that's another thing too. We have that piece that we've all gone through something kind of similar, and we're all like the change makers, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely. And that our perception of things have been totally changed by these experiences as well. And what, maybe if someone is maybe in a sweet way, sometimes people can be envious if they see someone who has spiritual in their mind. They see, oh, that person has spiritual gifts, so they have a connection that I don't even have, and then there's that feeling of like distance or I don't belong. I would hope that most people who reach channels like this and yours, that it feels like we're looking to share the fact that we're all in this journey of experiencing and becoming and kind of learning all these things, or remembering. There's often a remembering, it feels like, with most of these things. And so maybe
mhm.
it won't feel so uncomfortable once they get into it and like experience it. And it was one of those things that brought me to say the Passion Podium, like this podium series, the online events that we're doing throughout the year seasonally, is because there is that longing for more activating, more really dipping their toe into a few different things and getting to experience it. So that, yeah, how great it is that we can actually get more information these days. You could connect to people. Like, imagine years ago, you would have just been walking around speaking to yourself, hoping someone else speaks the same.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really beautiful because we
it
can
is.
connect all over the world and then plan and meet up in person or whatever that looks like. But yeah, the beauty is like we all have these abilities. It's just, and most often we just don't realize. Like so everybody is strong in one or more of these clear senses, these psychic senses that like everybody is. But it's just kind of unraveling all that conditioning. And then also like embodying, like feeling into the body with it. Because I always just say, like, if something's happening in your mind, let's bring it back down to the body and like feel into it because we've been trained to be in our head, to be in our mind, right? And there's so much more. Like your body is so smart. It's a very advanced being of light, like technology of light. And it's there's just like it knows. So it's like the more we kind of like flow into that, the movement, there's so much there, and everybody has the ability to. So that's really what I'm passionate about, is activating people onto their highest timeline, knowing that they are here for great things. Um, it's what gets me so excited. It's like following what lights you up, that those little sparks of joy. Um, those are keys. Those are keys. And like if you listen to those keys, there's a whole path that unfolds. So that's just like what like this originally started as an idea, and think of where it's going now. Like ideas are so important. So
They
yeah.
are. And I think inspired action is one of those things I'm super passionate about this year. I feel like so much of what our world needs right now is everyone doing their thing, especially creatively and spiritually in this open and yeah, in this joyful way, like you're saying. It's like to play is our real great resistance against the forces of anti-play.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Playing is such a catalyst for so much more. It's like it opens like the abundance gateways of this love and joy essence that comes through when even if it's just like a little movement. I keep going like this, but like even if it's just a little movement, it's like those codes come in, because there's so many different ways you can get these activations, like being out in nature with the sun, listening to people that resonate with you, like just feeling into it. So
I
yeah,
love that
very.
you're like describing also the experience of it, because I think sometimes like there's a fear of, I always try to think of like, what if someone just stumbled across OracleFest as their like this conversation as their first example into what we're talking about. And I'm like, what are timelines? What are codes? Right. As someone who's like just coming in, and sometimes those kinds of phrases, even though we like become familiar with them, can be like the confusing like, oh, but how to access. And so I just really love how simply you're putting it, and I wanted to like remind people basically what you just said is that often what is happening is that there's some sort of feeling or sense or image or experience, and that we're making this little movement, like we're like making space for this new light and this new energy to come in. It could be as subtle as that, and this is what we call it, and this is how that like shows up, so they can have just as magical an experience as you are having, right? So how would you describe highest timeline? Because I think people will really enjoy hearing that from you.
So, what you were saying with the words too, like what are words? The words are frequencies, right? So you could say every word that you have holds a frequency. Your highest timeline or highest realm or highest possibility of what you could possibly imagine, that's your highest timeline. That's the path that you're on. Again, with purpose, with love, your highest timeline of seeing a vision that brings joy to your heart, and you can start doing that in meditation. You can start doing it in whatever that looks like to you, because meditation can be anything. It can be dancing, it could be what brings joy to you, and then thinking of the highest possibility of what your life looks like, or but not looks like, it's what it feels like. So what you want to go with is the feeling of it, and and feeling that frequency of love, of bliss, of knowing that you have that that entire life that you envision, that you feel, and then sitting with that, feeling that, really focus on that, breathing that in. And then that's where you'll start to get messages, keys, codes, little gifts that come into your awareness. And that could be through anything. It could be through the people that you meet. It could be through the conversations that maybe you hear or something, but your body, your highest self, your knowing is leading you down that path. Um, and just they could be little breadcrumbs, and then you follow what gets you excited. What say you get a little spark of joy, you follow that path, and then you keep following that. That's the highest timeline for me. You can go into that feeling of it. So that's my answer for that.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, I sometimes when I try and explain highest timeline, because it just makes sense to me, the concept and feeling of it, but I can understand when it's like a first coming into the phrase. It's like, okay, wait, what do you actually mean by that? Like, how can I actually break that down? I try and describe it like it's funny to think about it now. I try and describe it like you are surrounded by all the potential decisions you could make in the world, and you're probably on a pretty decent track because there's a whole bunch of decisions you could make that are absolutely not on this timeline, and that we have sort of like a range of decisions that we're sort of making at any time. And that highest timeline feels the easiest, most powerful, most smooth, and also most growth filled with empowerment, right? Like that it feels like there's still change. It's not some stagnant, constant state, but that there's some, movement that just feels like not as many hurdles and barriers and like spooky, scary things, coming out from the trees comes at you on that path, right? It's like a little easier. You can take
Yeah.
the scary forest path, and it's like you're maybe a little more scared the whole time you're going through life, so you could be making some of the same decisions even, but you would feel totally different on highest timeline energy compared to like to the sides, yeah, that's how I see it. I don't know, it's a funny version.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to add with ease and grace.
Yes,
So that,
exactly,
so that you
exactly.
add like that flow with ease and grace. So it's like, well, you said highest timeline. So
Yes,
with ease and grace, it's the one that feels good, the one
totally,
that lights you up.
totally.
And also I like to say it's the one that also has a life full of purpose as well. Like when I started, it was like, okay, I'm doing this video. I'm doing light language. Maybe not a lot of people know what that is, but I'm going to do it. And if it helps one people, it helps a couple people, then I know that I had something that I was offering. And then that turned into a whole big thing. So I
Mhm.
think that's also a really good way to look at it too. Like what's something that you can do to help your community, that's something that you love.
I was just
And
having this
then
conversation with someone yesterday because well, okay, so you're also a traveler nomadic. You experience different vibes in different places and different frequencies, right? So I'm finding in Ontario right now, being back in Canada on Turtle Island, I'm like, man, things are dense. Things are just ugh. It's like a really interesting energy that I've been here now for a few months, after being in Scotland for about 2 years, and so it has felt really, really different in space. And so there's something in me that is also like, when people are feeling under it in life, is it not that doing things that help us feel lighter is the solution on our day-to-day level, right? Because we can really feel like under the slog
yeah.
of what's happening around us energetically. And so I feel like offerings like yours of bringing light language out to people, even if it's just that person who's scrolling on their feed and they happen to see your video, it's such an important thing in our world right now, because that really does make the difference energetically. They raise their frequency just that little bit, and then the next time they go to that cafe, they have like a ripple effect outwards, and it's not a small thing at all to affect those few people and watch how that ripples outward. So I can understand why you haven't stopped once you started.
Yeah, and man, oh man, I do feel you on the different places because I was in Thailand for about a year and a half, and I the frequency there was like I make a joke and say it's like 12th dimensional frequency over there. It's just like magical light. And then I next went to Mexico, and then back in Canada, I'm on the other side. I'm in Vancouver, and every time I pop in, because that's where I'm from, is here. And I notice a big change of like, I get up, I do meditations, I dance here because I notice it's just a lot denser. And then for anybody that's feeling this, check out your astrocartography because sometimes it may give you like an indication. Because when I finally looked at the place where I've lived like most of my life, it was like, ooh, maybe not so much. So I'm heading back over to Spain, which is apparently that's where I'm meant to go next. But yeah, astrocartography. And then I do recommend, dancing to your favorite song or listening to your favorite song, waking up and then just kind of doing a little movement is like such a big key. It's changed my life.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a certain way I think society went where we got real strict and like stiff.
Mhm.
and we just like ironed all of ourselves out. And that holding pattern for so many years, getting passed through all your ancestors, that's got to find its way out. Like we got to free ourselves up. We got to have more fun.
And dancing's such a good way to purge
It
that.
is.
Like, again, that seems to be the theme with you, and I'm just like, yeah, let's dance.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. That's because it's my vibe. And it's also, we're both like heart focused people. And so I'm like that, I eat good food and I'm like sitting in my chair, like, just
yeah,
loving life. But yeah, it happens, I think, even simply by being open to like all that the world has to give us, all the nature, all that opportunity and spirit has to give us. And I so love that you are someone who loves bringing people kind of in a snap to their highest timeline and allowing them to experience that. Because in my, personal experience, it feels like the more I interact with that energy, the more I recognize it and remember it, and it easier it is for me to like noodle my way back into that space, right? It's like we're sort of just like dancing back onto the path, right? And that
yeah,
if we take a spin and we're whirling in something that doesn't quite feel right, we dance our way also back into feeling right, right? Like that we're not actually scared of or attaching to what that looks like at all times.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah, and then,
Beautiful.
just that feeling again, your intuition of following the light of what lights you up. Maybe there's some people that feel like sunshine to you. Maybe some other people don't feel like sunshine. Just like, just really feeling into that. And like the people that feel like sunshine, those are the people that you want to be around
Run
more. And
towards them with open
yeah,
arms.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
Slow motion on the
Yeah,
beach.
yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
I think like so much for me anyways. I don't know, you're probably finding similarly anyways if we're here chatting about it, but so much for me about spiritual healing is like just like being in love with more. Being in love with more, like loving life more and like loving every challenge and everything that like gets presented as this juicy, like, oh my gosh, I'm just so, enamored with it, without it being excitable or disappointing or, needing to be anything more. It's like just as it is, like, wow, this pencil just as it is. What a marvel, and I think that is like such a gift in today's world as well, because a lot of our commentary is like really trying to analyze and critique and to understand the massive amount of information that we have. And so this unknown information that was coming in through you in these hieroglyphics, right? I've had a somewhat similar to the side kind of experience of information getting like poured into my brain. They were like, this is going to make sense later.
I
um,
know, I know. They always say that. You'll know later. I'm like, what? Yeah, yeah.
Excuse me,
You
can
won't
I
be
have,
able to understand right now.
it's
Yeah.
like, was this good information? Are we okay with this? Yeah, it's like you really do need to just willingly accept it, eh? That kind of
Oh my
like,
gosh. Yeah, no, that actually is really funny. And it goes back to your timeline thing because I was doing a healing session where I was doing something and I was doing something with my hands. So I do a lot with my hands in my healing sessions. And this one, I was started going like this and I was like, okay, and I was like clearing timelines. And this was way back. And I was like, what's happened? And then I realized that we were going like past to like when maybe this person was a child and then clearing that, collapsing a timeline, and then going back previously. And then I was like, and I wanted to know specifically what, and they're like, you'll know a little bit more later because it's not, you're not going to be able to comprehend. And I was like, all right. So it's like so many of those that are like exactly what you said. And you're like, but I want to know. Oh, fine, 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 fine. I'll let you tell me when I meant to know. Yeah. It's like
exactly,
that.
exactly. And I really do. I love, like, I'm sure you do as well. You love learning. And so I actually love kind of the mystery as well. Like, I would maybe play a joke like that if I was a spirit guide, right? I probably would. I'd be like, ha ha ha, we're going to tell you that later when it makes more sense.
Yes, yes.
you
And
know?
there's actually been times when I've been doing like channeling and then I'll be like singing and then I'll be like, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, okay.
Okay,
Because, and
now.
also too, like to keep you in your highest frequency, you want to be in like this like joyful, um, like that playful energy and like, bringing in your, the younger version of you and like that where there's just like being in play state and being just like curious because that's really what like because yeah we both love to learn more but it's like being curious about it
Yeah.
and knowing. it's
It's
fun.
not the
And like,
knowing it's the curiosity that's the light, right? It's the like, I wonder. It's the wonderment.
yeah. And sometimes when you say, I wonder what this is, you'll get it as a lesson or you'll get it as maybe you're told it. But it's like, how do you want to get this information? Do you want to like learn a little bit? Or
Yeah.
so it's always funny how it's like, do you want clarity in a way of like, we're going to go and there's going to be an experience? Or do you want clarity as in like you want your guide to say something about it?
Yeah.
That one was the learning one.
So
Yeah.
true. Yeah, we got to be clear
Yeah.
about our asks. That's something we definitely learn as well. And I really, yeah, I really do. There's a circle back, but it's typical, I think, here. The astrocartography has also been a just really, really expansive tool for me and for clients. So I really highly encourage anyone who's listening to this who has not done their own deep dive into astrocartography to and perhaps actually go and look and resource someone who might also sit with you if it feels too confusing or overwhelming. Then go and actually find someone who maybe I'll try and look for someone, or Kirstie might have a name for astrocartographers, but there are probably many out there. Something that I was like really amazed by was places I had already been and already had felt called to. And because I had been to Costa Rica years ago, and doing Thai massage training and really expanding my idea of what healing work was going to look like in my life, and getting away and feeling like I was my own human for the first time in life. I think when you really, really separate from place in a way that's so different, you're able to see yourself differently as well. And to be with such beautiful nature was absolutely, yeah, a life changing. It is. And I was so heart open from all the Thai massage as well. It was like 3 weeks of like Thai massage in the jungle. So I was,
Oh
I
my
was feeling tender and ready for growth. um, and it
Sounds
was so
marvelous.
beautiful. Yeah, I can now see that like I have chakra centers, heart chakra centers within Costa Rica. And so it makes sense my heart was pulled there and that's the experience I would have. It made so much more clear to me. And then some of the things that have occurred to me even in the UK, I might have lines going through specific areas where I learned those lessons. And I can be like, I can actually just see these memories almost tracing down these lines. It's so fascinating. And I know anyone who is interested in the idea of energy and ley lines will find astrocartography really beautiful. And it is also informing like, yeah, what comes next. I'll sort of peer into an area. I love remote viewing. This is something I enjoy doing. So I will remote view, and then also I will feel my own energy in those spaces and see what is that like. Like that is different than what I experience here. And so yeah, there's Madagascar is very, very strongly calling me, as well. Indonesia very, very much calling me. So I know you could feel that one, the Indonesia, because I could tell that's one for you as well in that area. Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, and amazingly, these little nuggets will pop up. Like I remember finding that, and then my father just telling me out of nowhere that he would one day want to go to Indonesia, and I've never known him to travel at all. And it was like,
Wow.
yeah, like I've just never known him to dream or think of things that way. So amazing how much more can come out when we just do these little dives, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
keep our minds and hearts open to what comes through.
Indonesia is just, it's just a beautiful place. It's just, there's something really magical about it as well. It's just a very high frequency codes that are coming through. Um, just like from, I was in Bali and just that was really like, I think the precipice of an awakening years ago without me realizing until looking back. But, there's beautiful codes that come through. And codes, you could say codes is like, the sunshine, the nature, the air, the beauty of that, and just in the earth.
Well, and you
Yeah.
can think of codes too. I would think of it as like the story that you explained earlier. If someone has an imagining of if they had these hieroglyphs like coming in through and like getting brought into you, it is like that experience, but
Mhm.
maybe you don't see the physical codes, but it's like there's a frequency or a consciousness or an energy or a theme that you tune into that suddenly allows you to like maybe expand in that. So it's like a code comes in and you just feel yourself expanding, and that is like this like rising to that. Is that the experience for you?
Yeah, for me, I started seeing rainbows kind of everywhere. I started
Hmm.
seeing rainbow rays coming from the sun, and I started seeing them a lot more. Just like almost like a glistening. It's just a very like just it's kind of like that feeling that I described when I saw that being at the end of my bed of like that feeling of unconditional love. It's like that feeling of a rainbow ray like hitting you. So I don't see them all the time, but I see them quite often in a way that even every time I see it, I'm like stop every time because I'm just so grateful for it. And I feel like more and more people that'll be like the regular. Because I never saw rainbows around the sun or near the sun and now it's just like kind of something that um I just my vision is a little bit more expansive. Um
Yes. Yeah.
and yeah, so it's just there's just the magical moments and it's going back to that being in like a sacred ceremony of the everyday and appreciating the everyday and like having those moments. Like I think back to a number of years ago, I used to work in the corporate environment and I didn't necessarily appreciate, the moments of being outside and like being in the sun or even brushing your teeth or washing the dishes because I never used to particularly like, I'm like, oh, I gotta go brush my teeth. And now I find that those moments are even like more fun because I'll start without even thinking, I'll automatically just start like singing or like some ideas will come as I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, this is how my guides have like turned this into like the fun experience and be having those um yeah, those sacred moments in all moments. That's kind of what we're getting back to is like having the love in all moments, right? And the appreciation
Absolutely.
gratitude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Adore that thought. And it reminds me of like, yeah, I was really like struggling with enjoying dishes because I just grew up being the dish dryer. Okay. I was like the dry and put it away gal. And I was just was like having it just felt gross to me when I was getting um like through a more stressful time in life. That was like way more irritating to me than it used to be. And I
Mhm.
remember just being like, I'm just gonna change this. Said I'm just going to change the way this feels because it's got to be done. It's got to be done. And so magic in the mundane, right? And how can we like find that joy and play? And now it's like a much more different experience where I feel really soothed and relaxed in the back of my mind. And I think that's what happens, right? I used to have my vision board in my shower because I really enjoyed cleansing and being like very raw and then spending time with my like clear mind where there's nothing else that can interrupt me with how I visualized and saw life for myself and tuning into the frequency. So I would just be drawn to, I would like la 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 shampooing my hair, and then I'd just be drawn to, oh, I'm really drawn to this specific image of perhaps myself working with children or something. And so then it's like this really, and I just like would entertain this in a lovely state. And you leave that shower feeling like you've just regenerated your whole like energy as well. And it's such a easy hack to, you don't have to have the images there. I just liked the prompt of which one am I feeling more drawn to explore today. But how beautiful is that something so mundane becomes this like real treat and real experience and real rest of our nervous system because we're in this really receptive mode, which is what we all kind of need a bit more of if we're in the,
Yeah.
main kind of society. It can be a lot to process. So those are our processing moments, and they're like, yeah, such beautiful
And
gifts.
water is such a high frequency. It's like source consciousness coming right through the taps. And so, a lot of people say that they get their ideas and stuff in the shower. It's like, that's not a coincidence.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's
And in
so
my
funny.
case, it's
Yeah, it sounds
especially
very cool.
planned.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a great idea though. I'm like now you've got me thinking because I do like to like, I do like to plan stuff as well, like what you do because it's such a clear, I mean, it's just such a clear way to do that. But now I'm going to be like vision board, vision
Yeah.
board.
It's nice too. I mean, I like telling people because I think, yeah, you must do this as well. You like that. It's like habit pairing. You put something around another thing, and then you're more likely to interact with it, or you're more likely to do that practice, that ritual, even keeping some people keep a specific like notebook and an oracle deck by their bed so that they can be working with it. It's like those little things actually make a huge difference. So if anyone's listening
Mhm.
and they've forgotten about some of those things that they used to love, maybe find a new one so that it excites you and that you want to
Yeah,
do and it feels good.
yeah. Doing like a little, so we've all heard about the gratitude in the morning or gratitude in the evening, but it unlocks so much. it clears the channel, but it allows for all these high frequency like vibration, all the things that you're grateful for. It's like being in a grateful place. And if you go to sleep that way and you wake up that way, you're starting your day on that frequency, that vibration, and then you're ending it on that. You do so much in your dreams, so much in your dreams, and that you can be planning out like whatever it is that you wish to see in your world. You could be like going to sleep grateful, writing those things down. You're planning like how that's coming into your world. So there's just so much there. I don't know. I could talk about dreams and
Me
the dream
too.
space.
We're going to need a whole other Oracle Mountain chat. I used to teach a divine dream work course, and I would love to dive into dreaming with you at
Mm.
some point. We should just we'll do that at some point. We'll let that happen
Okay,
somewhere.
cool. Yeah,
Somewhere.
because
Yeah, yeah.
that excites me so much.
Yeah. I was like, let's have a retreat where everyone just sleeps the whole time.
It's sometimes I'll like go to sleep because they're like, no, you're doing some big work, some clearing, and I'm like, okay. And then yeah,
Yeah,
that's
time to go to
that's for
bed.
another topic because like
Great.
I'm really
I
excited.
love that. Yeah, yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So I was wondering whether there's like maybe even a topic that stands out from our chat today that would feel right for showing folks what light language even looks like, as it might be someone's first experience witnessing light language. How do you feel about that? What are you feeling like?
So for light language, I like to think of, like light language is actually a word that we've created for what you could say source conscious high frequency codes, light codes that come through. And we all have an association with different words. So, for instance, I'm going to use love. Some people have a hard time with that word, right? It means something different to each and every one. For other people, it's a very high frequency word. The collective of love is a higher frequency word than, say, hate, or if you want to get into the swear words or whatever, there's different frequencies, right? So everybody, there's collective frequency, and then there is a frequency of the individual. So light language, there's many different, so there's light language for everything. You could say light language of the trees, light language of the earth, light language of star beings, light language, you individually have your own. Um, it's everybody's able to do it. It's like a re-remembrance of something that you've always been able to do. Um, Quite often you can start doing that through toning or just like humming. Mine really came online very quickly after my um, encounter with the being friend. But there's lots of different ways, and it's so what it does is it bypasses the mind and it goes straight to the soul. It goes straight to where you need the light language. So there's light language. I do a lot of like energetic attunements to quantum leap people onto their highest timeline. I also do a lot of healing energetic attunements. So say someone, there's light language for different things. I work with Arcturian beings, Syrian beings, Lemurian beings, um, rainbow race beings, many different types of beings. And so Arcturians, as an example, they're very well known. They're like the advanced healers of
They were who
the
dropped in the codes, by the way. So it's funny out of all of them that you chose Arcturians. Because I was like, oh, I'll let her know it was the Arcturians with the code. And then that's who you chose to talk about.
right?
Yeah, yeah, here we are.
Not a coincidence.
Nope.
And so there's different codes and different healing codes or different upgrade codes. And so quite often I'll do like a mix of different codes, what's needed for in this moment. So a lot of the codes that I do as well, they're very like heart expansion codes. So yeah, that's something that we could do. We could do a light language.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right. And so also too, it's like these codes are meant, the reason why they bypass the mind and it doesn't sound like actual, like a language English or whatever, it's because they're not meant to. You're not supposed to wrap your mind around any of that. You're just supposed to let it like feel into it and to breathe it in. And they're activating, awakening, and quantum leaping you onto your highest timeline. So everybody that's listening, if you want to just take a nice deep inhale Breathing in love. And imagine roots going down from the base of your spine. Just really grounding. Imagining these roots growing down from the base of your spine, down through the floor, down through the rocks, into the earth, into the crystal, and wherever you feel your roots would like to go. And imagine them going all the way down to the very diamond hearts of Mother Gaia. Breathing in. And having a light smile on your face is always encouraged. And perhaps maybe you might feel the need to move from side to side. And imagine a blue sphere all around you. Kuya, kia, koya, koya. Shoo. Kia, kuya, aya, kurnia aya, kia na aya, kuoya aya. Tapping your shoulders. Kia aya, koya aya, kooronia atata tutushu tututushu tututushu tutushu tutushu. Kia aya, koya aya. Kia aya, tuornia aya, nia aya. Koya aya, koya aya, koya. Shoo. Breathing in and exhaling. Shoo. Tapping your heart center. Shoo. Understanding that you are infinite. You are abundance. And you are love. Kuyo, Kiyo, Nyayo, Kiyo, tapping your shoulders, maybe moving from side to side, tapping your collarbone. Ki hui anai hui anai hui anai o. Ki oi oi a ki oi a. Shoo. Awakening to your greatness. Shoo. Unlocking. Shoo. Ki anai o. Shoo. Ki anai o. Shoo. Stepping through a rainbow waterfall. Shoo. Uya aya ku uya niata aya ku ofrum tak atak atak kut 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 shut kut 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 shut kut kut shut kut 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 shut kut tu tu shut tu shut tu shut tu shut tu. Breathing in and exhaling. Grounding, 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 grounding. Kia, aya, koya, aya, koya, aya. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. There you go.
Thank you.
That was a
Thank you.
little taste. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. That's exactly what I'm sure everyone needed. And I think what it's so helpful to just sit and receive and experience, especially after listening to people for a bit. So I just feel like there should be one of these at the end of everything we intake.
Yep.
We just have like a little reset button, and allow us
Yeah.
to just have a clearing. So yeah, that's super, super beautiful. Anything else you wanted to share from that experience?
Just so much love. I just felt so much love. I work a lot with the Hopi realm as well. So there's a lot from there. And yeah, just listen to your body. Like, you may want to listen to this one or two more times. And yeah, just like really just kind of moving, just getting those codes, like embodying that. And yeah, just follow what lights you up. That's like my biggest takeaway. So if you liked what you heard, there's lots more light language activations on my channel. And also just, Google if you're looking for people, just find who resonates with you. That's like my most important thing. So there's a lot of people out there. So it's important to like follow your intuition and finding who resonates for you. Mhm.
Absolutely. And sometimes that requires a little bit of research and patiently allowing that person to like arrive in your life, right? Sometimes we're trying to squeeze, like, give us that teacher, we'll find the first one we find. But when we meet those greater teachers who do resonate with us for whatever reason, so much more strongly. There's, I think, medicine out there for everyone. So I love that. And
Yeah.
we're going to get to see you more at Passion Podium as well on May 2nd. And so folks who are new to Kirstie get to, but not new to OracleFest, get over to the Passion Podium. You'll get to receive a heart activation. That's what we're going to do in that half-hour time. And then we'll do live readings at the end. So you are under no obligation to offer light language as your reading or as your activation or clearing in those live reading sections. But however the information comes through is so welcome. And I'm so interested to see everyone in these new spaces, and for you to hold the heart pillar means a lot to me. That one means a lot to me personally. Out of all the pillars, flowers and heart, and actually no, all of them. Passion is kind of my thing.
I'm very grateful, very excited to be a part of it, and
Great.
thank you very much.
Of course, of course. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for being here. Thanks for our chat today. And I'll share it out and people can see your bio and we'll link you up as well. And so then we'll see you on May 2nd. It's 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern for anyone who is curious about the Passion Podium. And the Star All Access folks also get the replays. So if you can't make it on the day, you're still going to get just as much juiciness after. That's why we love recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Anything else present for you before we head out for the day?
No, thank you so much for having me.
Great.
Again, so my website's KirstieLauren.com. I have a bunch of different offerings, like different workshops and retreats and all the good stuff. There's a little something for
Awesome.
everybody. So yeah, take a peek
Wonderful.
over there. And I'm excited to chat with you again.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure there'll be more conversations, and I'm quite positive there will be in-person events, Oracle Fest or other retreats across our time together. So I'm excited wherever we weave next. So thanks so much again, Kirstie, and enjoy the rest of your day. Everyone listening, just go and take time to re-listen to that light language if you want a little more.